All right, now we're going to welcome our first in-studio guest. It's Brad Davidzik from the law firm of Jeffrey Friedman Attorneys. I said Brian, it's Brad. I'm so sorry, Brad.
That's okay.
But listen, what we're talking about is something really important today because it has to do with our U.S. veterans. Right now, the Department of Veteran Affairs is currently processing over 900,000 disability claims. I mean, with 2 wars and our initial veteran force, this initial process can take over a year, and appeals can take up to 3 to 5 years. So what do you do to get the very best response? You don't go in alone. You contact Brad here, and he's going to help you through this. It is nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because if people don't have an advocate like you, they're going to get lost in the system.
Correct. It's a very complicated system. It's lengthy. It's detailed. Especially with a veteran's claim, you have to find some sort of connection back to something that happened in service. So that could be years and years in the past. So it's a hard process to sometimes get some of those records and get the information that you need to pursue your claim.
Brad, do most people know that they should have an attorney as an advocate going into this process, or do they initially try it by themselves and then you know, face a wall of red tape?
Yeah, I would say most people try it by themselves initially. They don't need an attorney at the application process or at any stage of the process, so they do try it on their own. But there are so many pitfalls and traps, and just the paperwork alone is overwhelming. And what you see a lot of times is people get so burdened with the paperwork, sometimes they give up.
Oh, sure.
They just think that it's too much, and their claim falls through the cracks.
And there's also Social Security disability that can interplay with VA disability.
Correct.
And you can navigate through that too.
Absolutely. We see a lot of our Social Security clients that are also eligible for veterans benefits, and you can collect both forms of disability at the same time.
Important.
It's not like you need one or the other. And what's interesting with veterans is Social Security, what you're trying to prove is that you're 100% disabled. That's a high threshold. That's a high standard to meet oftentimes. With veterans claims, you could be partially disabled. So you could be 10% disabled. I have a family member who's 20% disabled. And the key point is they're able to work full-time jobs. There's not the restrictions that you see with Social Security in terms of how much you're able to work. You could be a veteran, have an 80% disability, and still work full-time. So that's a nice feature to the veterans claims.
Brad, what if somebody has already started this process and they're getting nowhere? Can they contact you now?
Definitely.
Okay.
We can get involved at any point of the process and kind of pick up the pieces and get the claim back on track, find out where you are, and get you going in the right direction.
Because I would imagine that there are people who have valid claims and should be getting some help from the government, and yet sometimes their claim gets kicked back, and that happens to a lot of people.
Definitely.
And some people give up at that point.
Absolutely. People give up when the claim is rejected, and we're there to remind them that it doesn't necessarily mean they don't have a good claim. They may have just filled the form out wrong, or they may not have put down the right information. So people will give up. We can kind of salvage that claim. I have a family friend whose father got out of Vietnam, worked 30 years, and just now got disability benefits all these years later. You know, he probably should have applied long ago, but it doesn't matter that he got out of service more than 30 years ago. He's now collecting veterans benefits.
That's so sad.
Right.
To think that, you know, he was really due this for so many
Correct.
years. Now, what if somebody comes back and they, like I said, maybe they're watching us right now, and they did come back with an injury, it's a nagging injury, and they are maybe 10 or 20% disabled, and they haven't done anything yet? I mean, is there a time, a deadline after you come back from service to go ahead and apply?
No, there's not, but what you need to prove is just that nexus, that connection from your present disability, the disability that you have today, to some sort of in-service, active duty service, disease or injury. So that's kind of the linchpin, is finding that connection. And sometimes that's difficult. Sometimes someone gets out of the service and they feel fine, and they don't know that there's anything wrong, and over time something is degenerating in their body that may be initiated when they're in the service. But that's the hard part, is finding that connection.
Brad, if they can retain you and you kind of walk through this together, how soon can someone finally get to the end of this and start to see it resolved and get compensated?
I mean, it depends on each case. It depends where you are in the process, but we think we can definitely speed it up and get you benefits and get everything back on track.
Well, you know, that's like you say, there are so many people out there who are deserving, who either gave up on the process because, like we said, the red tape can be just unbelievable. You almost think that that's built in to discourage people. But you're here to say, no, don't get discouraged by that, because you know how to navigate the system, and you're going to save people a lot of time and effort, aggravation as
Correct.
well, to get them what you deserve out there.
Correct.
And how many people are you seeing right now? Are you notice a lot of our military population coming through?
Yes, we are. We do free consultations all week long. We see dozens of people each week. We see people who come in specifically for VA. We see people who initially reach out to us for Social Security benefits, and we see on the forms that they're treating at a VA hospital, so we know they're a veteran.
Yeah.
And we say, hey, have you ever thought about maybe veterans benefits?
Right.
And it's shocking how many people think, oh, I could still get those. I didn't know. I've been out of the service for 10 years. Can I still get them? And
Boy.
people don't know their rights.
You could be music to people's ears right now, especially a lot of our veterans who deserve to be able to talk to you about what they deserve from this country and the government. All right, how do you find Brad? Through Jeffrey Friedman Attorneys at Law. You can call their main number at 856-7091 or go to their main website at jeffreyfriedman.com. There, you're going to find Brad's email, and you can contact him directly. But by all means, everybody, please be timely on this, because this is most likely due you, and if it is, don't let paperwork and red tape keep you from getting what you deserve.